Hey y'all, it's Beth with Carolina Princess Sweet Treats and Pretties. Welcome back to my channel. I was going through my phone and I found some footage of a video that I made where I took thrifted items that I'd found at the Goodwill to make a tiered tray in preparation for an upcoming tiered tray challenge that Carol at My Blessed Nest is hosting for St. Patrick's Day. Well, this all happened during the winter storm of Texas when there was no internet, so I never got around to editing it and uploading it for you, but I thought I'd share it with you now. So if you like this type of video where I take thrifted items and create new things out of them and give them a new purpose, please make sure that you give this video a thumbs up. And as always, I'd love for you to subscribe to my channel if you have not already done so. I'm very close to 500 subscribers and I am gonna have a 500 subscriber giveaway. So stay tuned for that. And on a funny note, the shirt that I'm wearing in this video says, "This sucks, but God is good." Unfortunately, all you see is "this sucks" most of the time, but it does remind us that yes, this was a hard time in Texas, but we gathered around each other and we supported each other and things are on the mend. So thank you for all your positive thoughts and prayers as Texas is back to a balmy 72 degrees with 93% humidity today. So sit back and enjoy this video, and I hope you'll come back to see how I staged the tray for St. Patrick's Day on March the 3rd at 7 p.m. Thanks so much, y'all. Let's get on with the video. Today, I am coming to you from an episode of Trapped in the Tundra. That's right, we are stuck in Texas under a winter ice storm and we don't have internet, so I thought I would find something to do. I mean, let's face it, I got a lot of stuff over there to do. I just didn't want to do any of it. But I got to thinking that I want to participate in an upcoming tiered tray collaboration that Carol with My Blessed Nest is hosting for St. Patrick's Day, and I don't really have a tiered tray. So I started rummaging through my box of things and I found 2 wooden chargers that I had thrifted from Goodwill. They are originally from Pier 1 Imports. And I also found a wooden candlestick that I have decided that I am going to put together to make a tiered tray. Now the brown is not really my style, so I'm going to paint it up. And I'm of course going to paint it white so that it will go with all of the seasons and all of the decor. So I have already cleaned these, gotten the price tags off of everything. One of the things that I did do is just rough up this area right up here and rough up the bottom right here with a little sandpaper, just so that the adhesive glue will stick. So I'm going to be doing this in parts because I've got some other things going on. So I'm going to be painting coat 1. I'll come back to you, paint coat 2, then I will distress, and then we will marry the pieces together to make a tiered tray, and I will come back and show you the finished product when it's done. So let's go on to step 1. I am going to be using today some DIY paint. Now this is DIY paint that I actually learned about through Jamie Ray Vintage, and I'll put their link right up here. The color is White Swan. The instructions say clean and dry the object to be painted, and literally I just wiped it down with a wet soapy cloth and then dried it off. I did that for all of those pieces. I then sanded to buff out just a little bit of roughing it up here and wiped it with a Microsoft cloth. It says to remove the lid and stir thoroughly. So I'm just going to stir it up. This is not a chalk paint. It's more of a clay-based paint, like I said in my other videos. And I've used this type of paint before where I painted using White Swan and Apothecary. So I will link those right up here for you to go and check out. One is using the wax with the paint on a frame, and one is stenciling. So we have the paint stirred up, and it is like a pure white, if you can see that. I adjusted the camera so that you guys can see. You are just going to cover the plate with the paint for this first coat. It's really just a base coat. Doesn't take a lot of the paint. It goes a long way. I'm gonna leave this like this because we still have to do the back. On this one, I'll start with the back. For this one, I am just mainly going to worry about the actual body of the candlestick, if you will, making sure that I get it covered with a good coverage for the first layer, because we will be adding glue to the bottom and the top of this candlestick, and they will make the tier for the tray. You noticed I didn't even take the sticker, the price tag that was there. These were all Goodwill finds, and so I just wanted to use things that I had on hand. So I am going to let the front of this plate, the back of this plate down here, and then I've told you before, I'm a messy painter. I have this paint, and I've got it all over me already. And I'm going to leave this candlestick here to dry, and then I will be back to do a second coat. Okay, y'all, I went ahead and painted the backs and the front of both of these. As you can tell, I'm an impatient painter, so I wanted to go ahead and get those done before I put on a second coat of paint. This one is dry enough. So I am going to go ahead and give this a second coat. And since I'm going to be distressing it, my thought process is it's going to be imperfect anyway, which is how I like my pieces. I like them imperfect because, let's face it, no perfect people allowed here. And if you know of a way to paint round surfaces better, please leave it in the comments below. A couple of people have said put it on its side, but what I did, it didn't work for me. It has worked for other people, and I have seen it work for other people. But when I'm painting like that, I end up taking the paint off the side. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but I'm just going to keep going. The other thing is that sometimes I don't use enough paint on my brush, and it tends to take the paint off. You need to paint usually in one direction, but as you can see, I don't do that very often. Again, I'm hoping that once I distress it, it won't be as noticeable. So let me kind of show you what I'm talking about. Do you see that the paint is a little uneven? It almost looks like it's globbed in some spots, and I keep trying to work the paint, and sometimes I overwork the paint. So that's just one of the things to be careful about. That's why a lot of people will spray paint versus brush paint. And it also depends on your brush as well. I know that. So I'm going to leave that alone. Sometimes you just got to leave it alone. And I'm going to go ahead and put the second coat on this. let these dry and we'll look and see what needs to be touched up. And then it'll be time to distress and put them together. Okay, everything has 2 coats, front and back. And it's been about 15 or 20 minutes. They have dried. I want to show you that it is totally imperfect. You can see that. So I'm not going to be alarmed, especially like right here. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm now going to turn this upside down and give it another coat. These, you can tell there's still a few places where I have taken the paint off of that. And there's still a few places where inside there it is wet. I'm definitely going to go over the candlestick, turning it the other way so that I can just see it at a different angle. I wanted to make one for me so that I will have it in the event that I want to participate in all of these tiered tray challenges. And I'm super excited about the upcoming Valentine's Day tiered tray collaboration. Say that fast. St. Patrick's Day tiered tray open collaboration. Whew, that's a mouthful. So make sure again that you check out Carol My Blessed Nest to get the specifics, and you too can participate in the collaboration. Does it have to be a painted tray? No, it does not. There are no real rules about how your tray is done. Some people just make a little vignette like thing and stack some things on top of it. If you saw my Valentine's Day tiered tray challenge, I took a cake plate, put another couple of little cake plate stands that I had made by marrying some vintage dishes together, and I had a 3-tiered tray. I showed in a haul video where I actually found a metal 3-tier dish tray. I will put that picture right here so that you can see it. Putting some plates on there and dressing that up would also be a tiered tray. So really it's anything. Doesn't have to be one that is made, but since I was making one for myself, I thought I would just show you how I put it together. So I've put another coat on this. And I'm just going to lightly go around, especially the edges, because that's really what will show, right? The underside won't really show. In the middle, I will probably always put a doily or something, piece of vintage cloth or something like that, even scrapbook paper over it. And so I'm not really worried about that as well. So, but I do want to make sure that the edges have enough paint and all of the edges are covered, because that's what the part that you will see. I picked these trays. I knew I was going to paint them immediately when I picked them up at Goodwill, but I like these for a tiered tray because they have a little inset that will help keep things from falling off the tray. So just a little bit of added protection, because I do have a couple of vintage things that I want to put on my trays and I don't want them to fall off. So when I saw these, I just knew they would be perfect for a tray. I have had a viewer ask me, can you just show me something that's spray painted? I can spray paint, but I don't have all the brushes and all the paint. So yes, I will come up with a video where we can use spray paint, because they actually make chalk spray paint, and Lorianne Sugar Britches from Vintage Roots Collection told me that they have also a sea glass color, and I thought that would be beautiful, like maybe a blue and a pink sea glass. Oh, that would be so pretty. And you can use clear glass items from the Dollar Tree. So that will be pretty. Maybe I'll do one of those for Easter. That would be, or spring, that would be really pretty. So I'm looking around just to make sure that I have good coverage on everything, and I am going to let this really dry well. Let me get the edges. I'm going to let this dry really well, and then I am going to come back and we will distress and seal this. So guys, hang tight. It's almost time. And this, I want to show y'all that the edge is a little bumpy. So what I'm gonna do is I will take care of that when we distress that and you won't even see it. So hold for commercial break. Okay, y'all, we're back and everything is painted up on both sides and ready to go. Now I'm going to take some 220 grit sandpaper that I have cut into little squares. I just do that because it's more manageable for me. And we're going to do what's called a dry distress. And that means we're going to very lightly kind of hit the high spots of this piece, and usually the edges and things, so that it can pull back the paint a little bit, give it more like an antique or a farmhouse feel. So it'll be a little bit of noise. And so just lightly, if you can see, I'm starting to take off the paint. So I'm just going to go around the edges. I don't concentrate too much in one spot. Just kind of hitting the highlights just to show a difference. A little bit of color contrast there. But when you're distressing, you don't just take the paint off of it in any kind of order. Again, it's just what I call hitting the high spots of it. Let me kind of show you how that looks right there on the edges. If you can see that the paint has been pulled back. And now I'm going to go on the inside, which we'll be able to see a better difference because it is a more rigid edge. You can see right here how I'm taking the paint back, and I will also do that on the flat piece. Instead of going around and around, you can go back and forth. You can distress however much you want. There's no rhyme or reason or any specific rules about distressing. It is to your particular liking. It can be heavy distressed, it can be light distressed, totally up to you. This is where we are right now with the distressing. You can see that I've pulled back the paint. I'll also go underneath because I don't know which one will end up being the underneath piece. So I just did the bottom edge there. And I'll come back and do the rounded edge because this will be the edge that you can see. If you are dust sensitive or anything like that, I would recommend wearing a mask when you do this, just because there is paint dust. So the back is distressed. That means we've pulled the paint. The edges are distressed, and this is the front. It just gives it a little bit of a, what I call a banged up feel, which like it's been loved and used, so it's not perfect. Okay, and we will do the very same thing with the candlestick and the other plate. So I got me a new piece because my other piece is worn out. But I want to show you that, see, I took a good bit of paint off here, which is a different amount, and that's fine. It just it just makes it ununiform. And that's kind of what distressing is, not uniform. It's maybe to show where it has hit certain areas more frequently, as if you were using it or it were worn, like I've said before. This type of paint because it is a non-toxic paint, and I can paint with it indoors. There's no odor to this paint as well, because right now it is too cold in Texas to be outside painting. So here are both of the plates that have been distressed, front and back. And now I'm going to move on to my candlestick. And I'm usually always hit all of the edges. Anything that's considered an edge is what I will run the sandpaper over. And it's just enough to scuff up the paint a little bit. Now, some of the places where the paint was uneven or globbed on, I'm just going to lightly go over those just to smooth that out. So if you are a painter and crafter, tell me what your favorite paint is, or a project that you have recently made using paint. Put it in the comments below to let me know. If I'm doing round, I just wrap it around and move it back and forth. Then you can see that it makes some great pieces. And I'll go back in and fill some of those in. Because this middle candlestick piece has got so many edges to it, I do want to make sure that I'm capturing all of those edges. It kind of makes an accent for them. Sometimes if you fold the sandpaper and get a little sharp edge on it, it works really well. But I like to get into all the grooves and distress it. After we marry this together with our hot glue, we'll be using hot glue in Easy 6000. I am going to put a coating on it. It's called liquid patina, is the same thing that DIY makes, and it is just basically like a coating. It is a clear coating that does not change the color of the paint, and it just keeps the paint sealed, so that if it should bump up against anything, that it doesn't scratch the paint. What do y'all think about that? Turning it all around. Kind of want to make sure that it's not exactly uniform, but it's also not everything in one spot is distressed and nothing on the other side. Let me check on my pieces. Make sure that I have enough distressing to my liking. And the hot glue is just about ready. I can smell it. It's right here. So I can smell that it is ready. And it looks like all of these pieces have been distressed well through the magic of television. I have taken and dusted some of this off, but I'm just taking a Microsoft cloth and I'm wiping all the excess dust off. Let me show you what they look like now. The plates with its distressing, I've done both of them, front and back, just because I don't know which one I will grab. And I've finished the candlestick. And you can tell that it is not distressed equitably, and that's okay. So this is the top and this is the bottom. So the goal is to put it like this. But I need to glue it down to make sure that it is good. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use a combination of Easy 6000 and hot glue. Now please be careful when you use hot glue, it is hot. And Easy 6000. Now hot glue is a temporary quick bind and Easy 6000 is more of a permanent bind. You do not want to get the Easy 6000 or the hot glue too close to the edge. You still want it to bind, but you don't want it to have that run over so that you can see it on your project. All right, so I have some Easy 6000. What a sticky mess. Mine is just not that great. And I'm going to also put some hot glue with it. And I'm going to put it in the center of the plate. Just trying to get it slap in the center. Got a little bit of glue. I'm going to hold that down. And then I will also work on putting the glue around the edge of the top as well. Got my Easy 6000 on there. I think I'm gonna need a new tube of Easy 6000. And I'm gonna put my hot glue on there. Again, I don't wanna get too close to the edge because I don't want the run over. All right, now I need to make sure that this one is even. I'm actually gonna try to turn it upside down, y'all, and see if I can do it that way. I don't want to push it down until I feel like it's in the right spot. It looks about even to me, y'all. Remember that the hot glue is going to be your quick bind, whereas your Easy 6000 is your permanent bind. All right. I'm going to actually put something to put some weight on it. And we're gonna let that set and we'll come back and show it off tomorrow. Okay, y'all, I did not wait until tomorrow. I'm just too impatient. I want to see my projects finished. So here is my tiered tray that I made from thrifted items. Again, it was 2 wooden chargers that I got at Goodwill and 1 odd wooden candlestick that I also got at Goodwill. Now, I will tell you that what you didn't see was me battling the Easy 6000 and the hot glue. So I'm not sure if there was not enough Easy 6000 on there, but one of the pieces popped off. And so I put more Easy 6000 on there, more hot glue, and I put something really heavy on top of it and let it stay for about 20 minutes or so, enough for that hot glue to dry. And so then what I noticed is that the candlestick actually isn't smooth at the top or the bottom. It's not level, rather, at the top or the bottom. So when I looked at it, there were gaps on the front and the back side. So I don't like to do this, but what I did to make sure that it is secure is I went ahead and made a seal of hot glue all the way around it on both edges, if you can see that. And that just gives it a little bit more hold. So I just saw a little piece that was not filled in. So I just filled in the gaps with the hot glue. And that way it should hold it. I'm not going to do a lot of moving with this. It is a display piece, but I paid, I think, 99 cents for each one of these and maybe 99 cents or $1.99 for this. So for $5 and a little bit of paint, I now have a tiered tray. So stay tuned for a video on March the 3rd, which will be my St. Patrick's Day tiered tray, where I will decorate this cute little tray up for St. Patrick's Day. Thanks so much for watching, y'all. And until next time, stay pretty and be sweet. Bye-bye.